Now I'll set the scene for scene 11, alternate scene 9. Lights rise on a dark and dirty place. Garbage is blowing out, and there are thin, decrepit people who moan and fart, jabber on with nonsense, and occasionally cry and scream. Entering stage right are Danny Wagner and Jenny Ackles. She seems hesitant as she steps over people and looks about in the dim light. Danny seems, if not home with the scene, certainly more used to it. Jenny, though, seems determined. Danny seems merely to be her guide. It's an interesting scene. It reminds me of the alley scenes in High and Low, where they're stepping around all of these zombie-like creatures. And it's near Wyckoff Avenue, isn't it?
Wyckoff, yeah, and Wyckoff Heights Hospital is mentioned, where there was a methadone clinic, which later leads into the cult leader guy who's trying to help addicts named Avron, which comes from another song. But here, this again goes back to True Life. This is, I think I had a few scenes talking about the heroin galleries there, and so I thought, well, let me go back then. And so, since Jenny is the optimist, Jenny is the good girl as opposed to the bad girls of Candy and Betty. Jenny would want to, as a flower child, come in and help these people and preach to them and say, perk up, be good, don't take drugs, don't waste your life, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, that's going to be futile. And this brings in the character of Derek. And while I said my favorite use of song in the play was the Foreigner song, I think you would probably agree the best use of a song, at least a rock song, is the use of the 13th floor elevator song, Slip Inside This House Here. It's a perfect, for the scene and for the song, even though the song isn't about necessarily a heroin gallery, it's clearly written. The lyrics have that drug-like feel to it. Slip inside this house. I didn't, as a kid, I knew of the 13th floor elevators, but it wasn't until about 8 or 9 years ago, one of the first documentaries that I either saw on Netflix or maybe it was here on Austin Public Television, was about Roky Erickson, the lead singer of the 13th floor elevators. And I used one of his solo songs later in this play. But this is such an interesting song, and it seems to be a song that goes so perfect of explaining this warped, drugged out view of Derek. And so having him singing the song to both Jenny and Danny, and then, so you can imagine these heroin addicted people acting as a chorus, just sort of dancing like these Halloween characters in the background. Jenny gets scared, even Danny gets a little bit scared, but I think it's a very effective scene. Did you think this was the best use of a song?
Sorry?
Did you think this was the best use of the rock song?
Yes. There was also another scene where Danny is sort of walking around in this surreal environment that comes later. I thought was very effective as well.
Yeah.
I think he has his cat in tow. You'll know what I'm talking about when we get to it. But the use of it too is he sings to Jenny and to Danny. It's almost as if he's trying to indoctrinate both of them into this horde of heroin zombies.